There's nothing like a good one drop to just make a deck pop, Good one drops like Tamiyo and Phyrexian Dreadnought. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we've got a spicy one courtesy of Edison. Edison wanted me to combine the Quantum Riddler style nonsense that you can do with Stifles and Consigns with the good old Phyrexian Dreadnought. So Consign and Stifle have overlapping but slightly different functionality. For our purposes here, these cards are primarily going to allow us to keep our creatures around when they should be going away, either by stifling a Dreadnought ETB trigger or stifling a Warp trigger on a Quantum Riddler so that we can keep it around. Stifle has plenty of other uses, and a classic one out of Delver decks was to use it to stifle your opponent's fetch lands and potentially get some free wins as your opponent struggled to get their game plan rolling. Something cute that we can do in this specific deck is we can use Starfield Shepherd as a tutor for Urza's Saga. As a tutor instead of Urza's Saga, like many of these other Phyrexian Dreadnought decks are doing. Because we want to be doing some warp stuff anyway, we can warp this in and potentially tutor up a Tamiyo or a Dreadnought with it, and then do that again later on. So the Tamiyos, they just keep coming and coming and coming and coming until hopefully she gets banned. And fingers crossed, I'm recording this on Monday, November 3rd. I'm hoping by the time that this video airs that Tamiyo is not legal in this format anymore. Beyond that, I basically took the sideboard that we played in the Pokemoki pile from last week, and I think adapted it ever so slightly. That deck didn't have enough finishers for me. Now we've got a way to just cheese some wins out with a 12-12. Let's see if I like this one any better. And folks, should you need some Magic cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. We're getting to the holiday seasons. If you're going to buy some cards for a friend or significant other, use promo code ThrabenU, save yourself 5% on the order, and they've got a pretty great selection of old stuff that Legacy players would likely enjoy. Plus free shipping! Alright, let's battle. Alright, my hand doesn't do anything. We're keeping. We got a bunch of lands, we got a bunch of ponders, we got a Force of Will. Maybe this is not legal by the time I record this video as well. There's an Undercity Informer. I will Force of Will that. Are you going again? God damn it! Okay. So we're going to try to consign a Thassa's Oracle trigger. So here we go. Can I consign one of these and have that work? How many Poxwalkers are we working with? 1 Poxwalkers, 2 Poxwalkers. If I stop a Narcomoeba from coming back, my opponent goes bridge. Yeah, and still can keep going. Yep. All right. So Cabal Therapy targets me. And that's 1 Narcomoeba producing 3 bodies. They have named Days, which I do not have. There's, unfortunately, another Cabal Therapy here. So, now my opponent gets to take the Consign. Still has 3 creatures in play for Dread Return purposes. And I lost on turn 2 through 2 Pieces of Hate. Cool, cool. Age, Sanctifier, rest in peace. Yeah, and we have a handful of other things that technically do stuff. I do have a bunch of bullshit for this matchup, like with main deck Stifles and Consigns. Endings are probably going to go. Starfield Shepherd is expendable. Lorien Revealed is probably expendable. I have to respect Barrogoyfs and Friends out of the sideboard. I probably don't want too many of these. I need to be able to find them in an emergency. I don't know that I need all 4. Go with 2. Rim 1 random cantrip. My deck is relatively threat light, so I don't know if I get to get rid of Riddlers or Dreadnoughts here. Yeah, this is fine. There's So much tension here, though, right? Like, if I tap out for Grafdigger's Cage and my opponent has a turn 1 Charbelcher kill, I just die for not holding up Consign. If I pass the turn with Consign available, then my opponent can Thoughtseize or Duress a Grafdigger's Cage. I think we just take that as an it is what it is. And throw down a cage. 17. Spirit Guide. Cabal Ritual. Unstoppable Slasher. That's what I was talking about with Swords to Plowshares. Did I leave 2? I left 2. Alright. I think I will start here. Those cards don't answer this. Let's shuffle. There's a Vista. Grab an island. Play a Tamiyo. So I'll take, air quotes, 2 damage. Go to 16. Take another 8. Cabal Ritual. And there's a Barrogoyf. Opponent is on pile O dudes. Thanks, I hate it. Let's fetch. I have some reasonable cards that I can draw. Hopefully I draw them. Send in. This Clarion Conqueror is not going to be in play for long, which is why I am making the clue token. So we're going to do Tradesies there. Take some damage. Slasher is going to come back with some stun counters on it. Oh, Dauthi Voidwalkers and Bowmasters. Cool, cool, cool. At least my opponent does not have mana. However, I am at basically 0 life. Let's Riddler. Another one. That's not really what I want. Hold on, why did this not come back? Oh, right, Grafdigger's Cage, duh. This is awkward. If I fetch, I go down to 3. Is lethal through Tamiyo. So I guess I'm chump blocking with a Tamiyo right now. And drawing with a clue. Oh, fuck. Consign on my opponent's turn. Jump block here. Do the Riddler thing next turn. Ugh. Draw a card there. Now the Shadow is a huge problem. Let's brainstorm. None of those are my 2 copies of Swords to Plowshares. Just fully dead to Dauthi Voidwalker if I don't hit one. Let's go bam, bam. Batch. I think I just need to look deeper here. Say no to that. Go Ponder. Sanctifier Invect does not save me from this. That's a Consign. And now I can't answer both of these at the same time. All right. So I kept a hand that can stop their primary kill. I respected the existence of some of these cards while respecting Goblin Charbelcher and got. Fuck this deck. GG's, but I hope I don't have to play against this ever again. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, my hand doesn't really do anything. Hopefully blue deck being blue fixes that problem, though. We will play a land and pass. Could maybe play Scalding Tarn there to potentially Meticulous Archive. Sure, that's fine. Force of Negation can be pointed at something scarier. You're playing against Cloud Post. My cards are fine here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass the turn. I would really like to be able to consign something big and scary. That's awkward. I don't think I am going to mess with that. I think I let that happen, but I like fetch and brainstorm first. So yeah. Yeah, this is quite good. So put that back. Put that back. Fetch. Surveil. Yeah. All right, now this can resolve. And as long as this randomly doesn't Mise Consign to memory, I produce a Phyrexian Dreadnought with a counterspell backup. Okay, name's Force of Will. Land, fetch, Tundra, Dreadnought. Consign its trigger to keep it around. Play a Tamiyo. and I still have Force of Negation for something like a One Ring, or honestly, Kozilek's Command. I can hard cast it if it gets around to my turn, and I can pitch cast it on my opponent's turn. So this will be 5 possible mana. Eldrazi Confluence. I have no way of seeing. I don't like this interface for this. So I can deduce that the other ability, the blink one, is on Phyrexian Dreadnought. That is not super clear. So if memory serves, the Eldrazi Confluence build had 3 or 4 of them. There's half my opponent's life total. Here's a clue draw for Tamiyo. I could use mana to Prismatic Ending that. That's not relevant right now. Don't love seeing that. My opponent gets to Fog, which gives them another turn to find an answer to Phyrexian Dreadnought. Spirit Guide. There's a Karn Silex, which my Prismatic Ending does not answer. Ugh. Disgusting. And I am a 2-color Prismatic Vista deck, unfortunately. Maybe we find a Stifle? Trigger, Clue. This will hit the Planeswalker side too. So, crack, Clue. New Dreadnought is not what I'm looking for. Force of Will is not fantastic. I'm gonna shuffle these, take something random, do the Tamiyo thing. I can't get any immediate Tamiyo value, unfortunately. So I'm passing the turn. So my opponent is going to get to Karn Silex for 1, kill both of these while keeping their Disruptor Flute, and then do something gross. Luckily, there's no Planar Nexus, otherwise this just explodes in the amount of mana that it produces. So that gets rid of Tamiyo. My opponent can just produce mana to then get rid of Phyrexian Dreadnought. Yeah. Did not end up with a Consign. That's a Kozilek's command as well. I think I'm just gonna concede to these 3 permanents and move on with my life. So I've got a Null Rod, a Clarion Conqueror, 2 back to basics here as things that are good. Oh, Prismatic Ending missing 3 drops has bitten me in the butt 2 leagues in a row. At least leagues of this style. I don't want to be the control deck facing down the One Ring. That does not feel good. Ending has targets, but does not feel exciting. Can I get away with trimming a Swords? I'm going to try to get away with trimming a Swords. Glaring Fleshraker is just so incredibly scary, though, in the builds that have it. It's got some real good 3-drops. I'm unhappy. I'm going to hope that my opponent does not come out of the gates as quickly as possible, and just try to find a cantrip or land with this. A cantrip. Apt Cloudpost buys me a little bit of time. I think I'm okay doing this on my own turn here. Tamiyo's great. Stifle's not nearly as good as Consign is. And then I think I'm going to pitch Swords for not being blue. I think that's my plan. I'm going to hold this. Sure. There's Spirit Guide into Karn. I'm going to force. Now, do I want to pitch the Tamiyo or the Riddler? I'm going to pitch the Riddler. I think I should have played out the Tamiyo. I think I waffled too much about my decision. Get a basic. Well, I mean, there's a reward for not playing the Tamiyo, so we'll take it. Start here. Urza's Tower from my opponent. Oh, fantastic. Now I've got Clarion Conqueror going. That is a Boseiju. I do not get to Force of Will. The Spirit Guide, by the way, to make that happen. Get basic planes, I guess, for variety. Echoing Deeps. Could just become a copy of Boseiju to provide green mana for the future. It became Prismatic Vista. Perhaps my opponent has basic forest in their list. Stifle. Stifle's interesting. So, Tamiyo is not that great while Clarion Conqueror is in play, so I think I'm not going to move on playing the Tamiyo here. A new Cloud Post, And opponent passes turn. Or other ThrabenU. Send it. 16. I'll just pass. That is a Karn. I think I'm going to hard cast this and drop Stifle. My opponent hasn't been fetching with this Prismatic Vista, so I'm going to assume that they don't necessarily need it. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like I'm not going to play the Phyrexian Dreadnought. And now I think I don't play ThrabenU so that Eldrazi Confluence can't kill 3 of my things with 1 card. That would be a disaster. Alright, they do have Basic Forest in their list. 4 mana off Spirit Guide to play a Spirit Guide. I don't think that saves them unless there's something else, right? Trample. Okay, so you're going to One Ring Fog to buy a turn. That'll do. Make Island. Pass turn like before. That is a Karn. That's going to resolve. Can't be activated, so should be fine. The way it's not fine is if a follow-up, Dismember or Eldrazi Confluence then removes the Clarion Conqueror, which is why I countered the one that we saw in the early game previously. Do I want to futz with, like, Swords to Plowshares prismatic ending numbers? Sometimes having a prismatic ending on the draw so that I can address a Displacer Flute on a critical card can matter. I don't have another Brazen Borrower style answer everything card, but my opponent is a Karn Silex deck, so every card that I play... Let me rephrase that. My opponent is not likely to have things sit in play for a very, very long time because they are a Karn Silex deck. So sometimes I can just wait my opponent out on a permanent that sticks like Disruptor Flute. My opening hand is fine. I will kind of have to think about what is the Force of Will pitch with this hand. Oof. Opponent going to 4. So the big thing that I want to do is keep them from resolving the One Ring, which is a healthy and fine and sane Magic the Gathering card, as we all know. I think I let that go. I know what I want Force of Will pointed at. And while it is very tempting to try and stick my opponent on early resources, I think that I just want to get my ThrabenU going and Force of Will their first big play. Yeah. Well, opponent's got mana going. I just let that go. Again, this game is fully about just not dying to the One Ring. So let's potentially look for land drops. Brainstorm. Another island. I'll hold up a Stifle at this point and maybe cycle a Lorien Revealed or a Tundra. I think Lorien Revealed is currently my Force of Will pitch. I don't know that I'm going to do that. Prismatic Vista. Ooh, those are Magic the Gathering cards. I am so in. I do not want to shuffle. I think we go bam, bam, bam. Don't shuffle, Phil. Alright, opponent is just passing the turn. I will draw my card. I will just pass the turn. I have Null Rod coming after this. And can potentially just turn Lorien Revealed into a hard cast to draw 3 at some point this game. Alright, there's Null Rod. So, I think I will fetch, get a Plains, fetch, get a Plains, lay out a Null Rod. Pass turn. And I have Stifle availables for Boseiju style cards that go after Null Rods and Back to Basics and things of that ilk. There's a Once Upon a Time. You've got it. Finding a Glimmer Post. That's fine. ThrabenU Null Rod combo, baby. I think I won't play it. Once I can cast Lorien Revealed and transform it into a Planeswalker, we'll talk. But I don't super want to put colored permanents into play immediately because Ugin cast triggers just end up taking them out later. Alright, I'd like to hit a land drop this turn. Naturally. I did not. So, I'm gonna do this, see if I hit the land drop. I do hit the land drop. Great. So then there's land. Move to end step. Stifle the warp trigger to keep my creature. And I've got a bunch of pieces of interaction backing this up now. And no immediate counterplay from my opponent is great for me. Oh, no. Second main phase hipster. There's the One Ring. What if we didn't? I did not replicate that. I intended on replicating that. I'm good with this. Yeah. Send it. Opponent takes some damage. I'll play Tamiyo. I'll brainstorm to immediately transform Tamiyo into something that's useful. And then Tamiyo getting me back a Consign next turn would be a pretty big deal. Okay. I think that can occur. Oh, Clarion Conqueror as well. Probably willing to just tap out for that. Keep Stifles in hand to pitch to force effects, and then put these two cards on top. Clarion Conqueror, Tamiyo, anti-synergy though. Maybe I don't care. Tamiyo plus. There's Clarion Conqueror. Clarion Conqueror is such an awkward sideboard card in these Tamiyo decks. Not saying bad, just saying awkward. Send in 4/7. I think I just pass. Whatever it is, it's big. It is a Kozilek command, which I think I will just go ahead and counter and not let my opponent dig that deep. And that's good enough for the concession. We easily win versus my opponent's mulligan to 4 or whatever that was. But I don't know that the same would have been true for a full hand. I probably play that game a little differently if my opponent has the full hand. Like, with this One Ring here, I think I had Clarion Conqueror in play at the time. So, like, maybe I just let that stick and I end up fighting over a Force of Vigor later instead or something like that. But we got there. GG's. All right, I'm keeping my opening hand here. My opponent has mulliganed once already. In some timelines, I have a Tamiyo protected by 2 counter spells that flips on turn 2. So, opponent did keep on 6. There's Tamiyo. Lotus Petal. We're doing something unfair. Dark Ritual. Ah, it is another Oops League. Joyous, joyous day. 2 Oops All spells in 1 league. This one's different though. This one is main deck Belcher. Tamiyo trigger. I think I need to ponder for the land drop here, and I will get it. Bam, bam, bam. No shuffle, land drop, pass. I have both Consign and Force of Will available, but not both at the same time. So combat, Tamiyo, trigger, crack a clue, do this. One of these wins the game faster. Get back our counter spells. Bam, bam, bam. No shuffle. Trigger. Plus. I don't have Force of Will and Consign available this turn, but after this turn, I will have 3 counter spells available each turn. 2 mana, 3 mana off Spirit Guide. Force of Will. Pitching a Brainstorm. Excellent. Tamiyo. Tamiyo minus on Force of Will. Draw a card. Oh, I was supposed to fetch first. I did not want that Dreadnought, and I knew that. All right, land drop, and we're chilling. So I'll plus here, and as soon as I get a new card to potentially pitch to Force of Will, I can start thinking about just playing a Dreadnought and 2-turning my opponent. And that's good enough for the concession. All right, so this opponent is probably less likely to have creatures in post-sideboard configurations. Most of my white stuff probably comes out here then. So Rip, Sanctifier, Null Rod, Cage, probably Conqueror, Fairy. Don't do back to basics. That seems reasonable. I will be keeping this opening hand. I've got a Force of Will and the ability to sculpt beyond that. I would prefer opening hands that have multiple pieces of mana, because there are just, like, Pact of Negation lines or Duress lines that can kill me on turn 1. through just a singular force of will. So I will certainly ponder. Finding another pitch counter would be cool. I can play Grafdigger's Cage next turn and Clarion Conqueror the following turn. Let's do this in a way where I don't have the cards in my hand or duress style effects. And hopefully Force of Will gets me through this turn. Jack-o'-lantern is fine. Opponent's opening hand is not fantastic here. I am fine throwing down for a cage. I could ponder to try to find another pitch counter here and still end up leaving Clarion Conqueror on top of my deck. Bam, bam, bam. Pass turn. Got decent tools here. An opponent is not going anywhere quickly, which is favorable for me. So fetch. I'll definitely go blue here. Clarion Conqueror has an immediate effect on the game, in addition to just stopping a bunch of Goblin Charbelcher style nonsense. Sure, there's the Jack-o'-lantern activation to just draw a card. And there's the concession. We win. Wasn't that fun? Did we all have a good time? All right. My opening hand currently produces a Phyrexian Dreadnought on turn 2 with Force of Will backup. An actual wooded foothills. Is this just going to fetch a blue dual land, or are we doing something exciting? Hey, we're doing something exciting. You may have your bird. So there's a good chance this is a Wasteland deck, and if I play Tundra and Ponder immediately, I can't guaranteed Phyrexian Dreadnought next turn. And I think I want to guaranteed Phyrexian Dreadnought next turn. Oh, we're not doing anything exciting. It's this shit again. I think I'm going to counter this in case there's a Gaia's Cradle coming. I might be denying a mana in addition to stopping a combo piece here. We are on the full league of broken BS today. 2 Oops All Spells deck, a Nadu deck, a One Ring deck. Going through the ringer. Alright, now I can do this off of a basic land. There's Dreadnought. Here's the Stifle, and we're all in. If my opponent just casts a Source of Plowshares on this, I think it is very unlikely that I end up winning this game. I think my opponent's Nadu stuff will outvalue my Quantum Riddler stuff in the average game. Fiend Artisan. Alright, we're at least somewhat spicy here. Yeah. Fiend Artisan gets to search up their combo piece next turn. Thanks, I hate it. So let's send in for 12. And then ponder for an out. If I take Brainstorm and cast Brainstorm, I only get 1 card deeper than these. We'll just shuffle this and miss. Alright. I can see the writing on the wall here. I'll make my opponent do it, but there's the Fiend Artisan activation with some mana floating from Gaia's Cradle, and now this BS begins. We can concede there. GG. The opponent is probably playing something in the Nadu Elves ballpark here. So the more I can interact with their creatures, the better. I might be on back to basics stuff as well. Age is fine, ending is fine. Rest in Peace technically does some stuff, but is perhaps not exciting. These are going to be what I am thinking about. Shepherd can go. Force of Negation can go. I guess I am the interactive deck here. I don't want to be the interactive deck versus Nadu. That just doesn't work. Lorien Revealed is cuttable. Let's maybe not mess around with back to basics. Sometimes I really do need to stop stuff from coming into play from hand. I can't just remove it afterwards because sometimes a permanent resolves and I die on the spot. Effectively. I think I'm going to trim some stuff there rather than cut anything. Opening hand is fine, but perhaps not ideal. I would like to find an untapped land for turn 2. I think I might get saucy and just stifle a land drop on the first turn. Out here, Wilden. Seiju instead. Hate that. That's going to resolve. I'll now brainstorm for an untapped white source if possible. Yeah, okay. I can just do my thing. I can also do this. I kind of like doing this. let's do the more conservative play here. Take out the Shepherd, stop some tutoring, and then do my Dreadnought the following turn. An ETB tapped land. Hey, don't mind that. Land drop as well. There's Dreadnought. There's Stifle. I'll fetch. Get a Tundra here. Throw down Tamiyo as well. Alright. I just did something kind of gross. There's a Cradle. Not representing too much mana immediately, but probably more than 1 mana this turn cycle. There's a Fiend Artisan. Significantly less good right now. Opponent still has 3 mana this turn. Frenzied Baloth. So can't be countered. Trample, haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. That is certainly some spice. And in with both of my creatures. Opponent takes over half of their life there. I'll ponder. Nah. There's a Consign. I mean, I had other plans. But, like, if I must. Consign to memory this trigger. And pass. 24 power in play. Let's see if my opponent removes Grafdigger's Cage, and then I die somehow. There's an Allosaurus Shepherd. Sheltered by Ghosts. I don't think that's gonna be enough lifelink to stop me. You can gain 6? Oh, hold on. You just win? I'll be impressed. That's X equals 3. That's the Nadu. Board. Alright. Well, I've got 24 power in play. I guess I make my opponent click through it. It feels like they should win. But we're a handful of clicks in. I suspect that this now beats me. Yeah. So these innately have haste. So now every time my opponent makes a land drop, they can create a creature that has haste. That will then allow them to rebuy Nadu abilities. Not the most traditional line for a kill, but I'm pretty sure that is going to work. So now they don't need to get through the other Phyrexian Dreadnought for trample damage as well. I think I am officially bored enough that I will concede now. I think my opponent's got it. GG. Alright, I'm keeping this opening hand here. We have not played very much Magic today. I have not gotten to kind of get stuff like this really off the ground. Emery doesn't get interacted with by Force of Negation or Prismatic Ending, unfortunately. Yep. Alright, Blue Painter. So we've got another combo deck. So this does tend to be a grindier combo deck, though. No grindstone pun intended there. Holy bobble, Batman. You've got it. What if the top card of my library is Swords to Plowshares? Opponent refills their hand back to 4 cards. It is not Swords to Plowshares. I don't really want to just cast Brainstorm right now. We'll see if I feel, yikes, like Meticulous Archive is enough selection at end of turn. I currently feel like that is fine. And with 4 baubles in the yard, it's not like we want to Force of Negation that or anything. That's a Grindstone with a Painter already there. I would like to send this to exile. Let's pitch a Riddler. And that does mean that my opponent gets their Thoughtcast. Alright. I will Meticulous Archive at end of turn. I have a couple of different problems to solve now. Tamiyo, I think, is a great card that does not solve those problems. I think it is more important to do something that immediately impacts one of these 2 cards. I need mana afterwards to do that. This impacts one of those 2 cards. So bam, and bam, fetch, pass turn. We're going to consign this trigger, and that now means that I don't have to deal with the construct tokens. I'm still drowning in Emery Bobble cards. Hopefully I outvalue that eventually. I've got some bangers in the sideboard for this matchup. Fuck. Alright. That'll Yeah, I'm getting outvalued so hard. I need to solve two problems in the same turn cycle, which I don't think I am likely to do. And if my opponent starts getting into counterspell backup or their stuff, I don't know that I can win. So there's their draw two. That's not great. Dramatic ending not answering the 3 drops has been so real the last 2 leagues. I'm going to use this to pick up a Tamiyo. I don't think I'm keeping it around for Force of Will. I think I'm going to put it in play. I'm feeling desperate. This warps out. I can pick it up later. I don't know that I'm going to be alive when I make my 5th land drop to do so. Opponent is floating a mana. This can be a grindstone. It is a grindstone. So my opponent can activate and then oh yeah, okay. So that is now enough mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, they just have another painter in hand. They don't even need to cast the one from the graveyard. Well, shit. That was a landslide in my opponent's favor. Wrath of the Skies, Clarion Conqueror, Null Rod. I don't know how excited I am about stuff that looks like this. Ending is, I think, good despite the fact that it lines up poorly versus Emery. Back to Basics is a way to fight against Urza's Saga outside of Consigns and Stifles. I might need it. This build does not have dress downs. This build was trying to make the Dreadnought on turn 2 as frequently as possible, because Legacy games are short. Shepherd can go, that feels slow here. Force of Negation misses a bunch of stuff. Can I function without Force of Will? Force of Will is sort of my breathing room. If I go down on it, but don't fully trim it and do something like that. Force of Will can just be really important versus, what is it? Not Pinnacle Monk, Pinnacle Emissary, to just stop it from going wide of me immediately on turn 1. I'm worried that this is too slow, but I'm absolutely not going to mulligan something that looks like this. I don't know if I should have boarded out any Force of Wills. Let's ponder. I'm interested in land drop 3 and interaction. I mean, into it? Yeah, I'm into this. I'll put the Back to Basics on bottom, and I can decide whether or not I want to draw that one next turn. If my opponent does lead on Pinnacle, Emissary, and a bunch of 1/1s, I can just play Tamiyo and Brainstorm. Artifact, yeah, there it is. So, my opponent is going to make friends. There's Emery. Ugh. Alright, how do I feel about Back to Basics? With Artifact mana coming out of the graveyard, like, Clarion Conqueror plus Back to Basics is a reasonable path to victory. Yeah, I think I just say that that's fine. Healthy Magic the Gathering TM. Doesn't matter too much what I put back. Cameo Plus. And pass turn. There's Urza's Saga. Clarion Conqueror. Real good versus most of my opponent's stuff over there. The disaster case is Force of Will blue card here. So, fetch. White source. How do I want to do this? I don't know whether or not my card is going to resolve. I think I'm going to do the one that lets me continue to threaten with Tamiyo. So this shuts off 2 mana sources. I probably don't die to a grindstone immediately. And then I can maybe Tamiyo minus next turn. Follow up with something cool. Alright, there's grindstone. Ooh, swords as well. Very nice. I guess I will just put this at ultimate level, but I think if Clarion Conqueror leaves play, I just end up dying. There it is. Opponent now gets to tutor with Urza's Saga. Finding a bauble. Doesn't do anything right now. Neither does that bauble. And that's good enough for my opponent to concede. So that time I was on the play and got to just super fog the Pinnacle Emissary with Tamiyo. That is harder to do on the draw. I might want more copies of Force of Will now. I don't know, I am bringing in Wrath of the Skies. Could do like bam, 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 and get those back in. I could also trim a Ponder and keep the extra prismatic ending. This is a good set of cards. I'm perfectly happy with this. Basic Island, into Bauble, into Opal. I'm gonna Force of Will that. I think pitching the Brainstorm. Bauble gets sacrificed. Opal's not doing anything by itself right now. Ooh, I've got some tools. I will probably go ahead and consign it next turn. I will let my opponent use it for mana right now. I think that's fine. Fetch and surveil. Another land is okay. I'll just take it. I have better cards for sure. But this lets me hold up a Stifle and a Consign at the same time. So Stifle this trigger so we don't have to worry about constructs. Wow. So opponent has Ancient Tomb. Okay, that resolves. Fetch. Island. And consign it. Well, fuck me. Okay. You got it. Oh, wow. They fought over that hard without Ancient Tomb being the last card. That is surprising to me. There's a Swords to Plowshares for that construct token. I think there's a good chance that I end up playing this Riddler as a draw 2 if I don't play it right now. These are fine cards. I think I am taking them. Go bam, bam, bam. Don't use that ability. Drop this land. Pass turn. This is fine. I will go ahead and let this resolve. Yeah, that's fine. That was part of the plan. Now I don't have to worry about haste for the rest of the game. So there's that. Draw. I have a prismatic ending under this. I think it's too important to leave open my interaction right now, though. Chalice on 1. Let's replicate that once. Bam and bam. Cool. Now, prismatic ending on the Pithing Needle. That is shutting off Flooded Strand. I was checking this for some reason. Why am I checking this? I'm checking this to see if Back to Basics is in my deck right now, which it is. And then I will fetch, grab Basic Plains, play Quantum Riddler as a draw 2. Hoo-hoo, nice. Warp that out. This will potentially take out Seat, Opal, Grindstone, and maybe another card as well. We're chillin'. Which one of these do I play first for if my opponent has a counterspell? Wrath? Probably let Wrath get countered and stick Null Rod. So yeah, Grindstone on me. A1, take out 3 permanents. Now I don't have to worry about Painter slipping into play as much. Now my opponent doesn't have Metallic Rebuke going or anything like that. And we end up with a 3-2 finish in the league, in a very fast league, honestly. All right, let's wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I feel like the league was so fast that it didn't matter what was in my deck. The things that people are choosing to play in Legacy right now either are so powerful that they might need bans to stay in check, or they are so fast that they can just go under existing decks. And I have not enjoyed playing these blue-white cantrip decks. It just feels so tough to take the time off to Brainstorm and Ponder right now. Brainstorm and Ponder are absolutely cracked cards, right? Like, if we didn't enjoy it so much, Brainstorm would certainly be banned by the numbers. But right now, like, the best thing that Brainstorm is doing is transforming a Tamiyo. So I am trying to do my A plus B thing that requires 2 mana to win the game, and everyone else is trying to do the same thing, right? Brainstorm, Tamiyo, Stifle, Dreadnought, Entomb, Reanimate. You know, some of the Nadu combos take a little bit more mana, but like Nomads into Illusionist is a turn 2 Goldfish as well. The Nadu combos get online on turn 3. It feels really tough to not play a hyper-optimized deck in Legacy right now. So Edison, we got cute. I did as you requested. I jammed Dreadnought and Warp stuff together. It did fine. We have a positive record. how much of that positive record was my sideboard cards doing sideboard cards things versus the main deck actually being good, though. Like, it was definitely the Null Rods, the Back to Basics, the Clarion Conquerors, the Wrath of the Skies that are on my mind as the things that were good in this league. So that's kind of where we're at in Legacy as of right now. Regardless, I hope this was enjoyable, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya!